also, we warm welcome Paul and Stephanie back on the stage. 接下来是我们的问答时间，让我们掌声再一次给到3位。同样的时间也交给现场的每一位，有请。
Yeah. All right, we'll start with our first question.
Hi everyone, I'm Cecilia, freelance journalist. Thank you so much for the Media Day today. My question is for Chris. We've seen over and over the years region rotating for NA, Korea, China, and then Europe. How difficult it is for you to bring international events to Oceanias and Pacific regions?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think I'm going to separate them out a little bit, right? OSHA is a great market for esports. We obviously used to run both the OPL and then later the LCO there. There's still a very vibrant esports community. It's a little bit harder for us from a logistics point of view to bring a full show there, especially with no esports office in the region. Southeast Asia, much different for us. We have a great office in Singapore. We can get support from our offices in China and Korea. So as we start to look at our future Worlds plans, we are looking at ways that we may be able to integrate events in Southeast Asia into the overall structure. We had previously announced first stand in Southeast Asia in 2027, but we're looking at some other opportunities there as well.
大家好，这边是戴天静，想问一下几位，就是因为无畏征召模式这个在今年的赛季里已经应用到今年的比赛里了嘛，然后也确实出现了一些让大家意想不到的英雄选择，然后请问大家觉得这个无畏征召模式的效果是否有达到大家的预期呢？以及之后在未来的比赛里是否有想要加入一些新的赛制的想法计划？谢谢。
Yeah, so Fearless Draft, I think, was a huge success for us this year. It gave us a lot of variety from the comps that we saw. You weren't watching like a Cassante Renekton top lane every single game, which I think we all appreciated. We are definitely going to keep it for 2026. We did spend a little bit of time sort of in the laboratory figuring out if we wanted to make changes to Fearless, there's a lot of different flavors that folks have suggested, but as we're going now, we're gonna run Fearless back the same way it was this year. Really like the way that it landed. Really love the way that fans reacted to it. So we're going to continue to monitor and try things out, maybe in some tier 2 leagues with some adjustments to Fearless. But really happy with how it performed this year.
Hello there. I do have a question about cosmetics. Because you mentioned that you are interested in exploring the regional theme for skins. Since next year we are going to Texas and New York, does it mean that you are already thinking about a potential American-styled skin?
I mean, could be pretty cool, right?
Yep.
Thanks, Necrit.
I have a question regarding how international slots for tournaments were divvied up next year. It sounds like with how, yes, it is for Chris. It sounds like with how you mentioned first stand and MSI slots will be divided, that CBLOL is sort of being promoted to this major region. Does that mean that the 11 teams for MSI, the one odd team out will be the lowest performing region at first stand, or is that guaranteed to be a CBLOL team?
CBLOL next year will have one slot at each of First Stand, MSI, and Worlds.
So just to clarify, even if they outperform other regions at First Stand, that won't affect their MSI slots?
That's correct, although we will, as we look at slots for 2027 in the future, continue to evaluate the overall competitive strength, and we'll continue to make decisions based on that for sure.
这边是暴龙电竞，然后想提问一下 Chris 先生，那今年世界赛举办以来，从北京到成都有很多玩家活动，那比如春熙路的嘉年华也看到了玩家的热情，那你是怎么看待就是世界赛对于游戏的积极的影响的呢？谢谢。
It's been incredible to see the fan reaction as we've moved from city to city. I think LOL Carnival, if you haven't checked it out, you definitely should. It's amazing. Not only the activations, but just the fan intensity and the excitement and the passion that we see from fans. Usually at live events, it's the time for us when we can go and see the impact that we're having on fans directly. It's where we get our energy back when you see the entire arena cheering and lighting up and chanting names and silver scrapes and all the things that bring us along. But it's to see it everywhere, right? To see it around the city, to see it as you're just kind of walking around here, it really does bring a different kind of energy. China is a very special place to hold events. It always has been, and candidly, I hope it always will be.
Hello, I'm Lucy Weird. I'm an esports content creator from Peru. I have two questions, so I'll try to be as quick as possible. My first question is related to esports, because now the LTA will become LCS and CBLOL. Will there be a possibility to have also a Latin American league back in the future?
So we spent a lot of time talking about it as we looked at the LTA. I think in the short term, sort of based on where LLA was last year, prior to the LTA, the short-term plans are to keep them split in between the LCS and CBLOL and to continue to develop fandom there. As with everything else, we'll continue to sort of watch and monitor, and if things change, we'll certainly reconsider.
And my second question is related to the skins, because we have seen a lot of successful Wild Rift skins, and will there be also a possibility to have them on League of Legends too?
We're always taking a look at what our awesome friends at Wild Rift are doing and getting inspired from each other. I think if there's any skins that the community is excited for, always on the lookout for those. So keep telling us on socials and telling us in person when you see us, always taking that feedback.
Thank you very much.
Hello, I have a question for Chris as well. So, since there seems to be a little bit of downtime between games during Worlds, once we reach the elimination stage, why is there not some kind of double elimination in place?
I'm not sure there's a lot of downtime right now. We went
a week.
We need the week to get ready for finals. I think when we announced the new formats, I think it was in San Francisco in 2022. John was nice enough to stand up in front of everybody and sort of take the bullets for us that we were not moving to double elimination for Worlds. And the reasoning he gave is still the reasoning we have. We think Worlds is most exciting when every match counts, and there's no second chance. So the story, I think, for all the arguments I've heard that you get great stories coming out of the lower bracket, which I agree with, and which is why we have it in a lot of our regional leagues and at MSI, I think there's something very special about the fact that if you have a bad day at Worlds, it ends your season and it ends your quest for the Summoners Cup. It keeps stakes as high as they can possibly get, and I think there's something really special about that.
Thank you.
Hello, my question is for you, Chris, also. So, if I'm not mistaken, you said there are going to be like 2 teams from LPL, 2 teams from LCK for the first stands. Do you have any reason for that? Is it for make like 2 pool of 4 teams and second allocation? Why do you make it so hard for us, like Europe and NA, to win any competition?
Yeah, we looked at the sort of overall power rankings and general position of the leagues as we were deciding how to fill those slots out. It sort of turned out for us that they were also the 2 best performing regions at Worlds, but since we don't play a 3rd, 4th place match, we don't want to lock to that because it'll make it difficult in future years if you have, for example, the last team from the LEC and the last team from the LCS get eliminated in the semifinals. How do you decide which one would go? So for this year, we're sort of looking at it as just the 2 best performing historic regions over the period to add some more competitiveness to first stand overall.
I mean, this year we had like only 1 team for this, obviously 2 regions. So why do you make the choice to make 2 teams for the next year?
Yeah, part of it was format. We had, as we started looking at what we wanted to do with the tournament, and we had 8 slots. We didn't want to make we only have a week. We didn't want to expand that based on where our regional formats were. So it wasn't going to get as big as MSI. But we heard a lot of feedback from fans that 5 felt too small, that only having 1 team from each of Korea and China didn't make the competition feel like it was at the appropriate competitive level. So First Stand's a really interesting event for us. It gives us a lot of opportunities to continue to experiment and iterate. So we're gonna try this setup this year and see how fans like it and what the reaction is, and we're gonna continue to iterate into the future until we really lock in something that we think fans love. Thank you.
Hi, my question is actually for Paul. Oh my God, yeah. It's pretty clear that you guys have been putting extra emphasis in making sure like users are heard and addressing player feedback. And I was wondering what benefits have you seen from that initiative and the continuous transparency that you've been providing with the dev updates, and in general, how do you see that dynamic with players?
I think if we look at what we're about at Riot, right, being a place that spiritually is about making it better to be a player, then we've done a lot of reflection of like, that's who we are. And so I think those dev updates and our continued transparency gives us that opportunity for that loop to just listen and respond and listen to respond. And I think this year has been a year of a lot of learning. And I think that has caused us to reflect and just make some deep changes to how we like, some things that we think might be right, might not be right. And some things that we feel just like deliver on what players need, we should just go for it, like the winter map, for example, things like that.
If you don't mind me asking, what were those like main changes that you did this year that you feel contributed the most for the improvement of this dynamic?
I think in general, like earlier this year, we had some turmoil. I think we reflected on that and made sure that we listened to players and go, how can we make sure that people who play League feel rewarded? How do we make sure that it feels like we're responding to gameplay changes that players are talking about? Really, like, how do we ensure that we feel authentic to everyone? I think sometimes we got too scared to just be nerdy in ourselves with everyone, and I think we've been trying to just bring that back. And really, how that's helped us, it's given the dev team energy. Just let's be ourselves. Let's remember that we're players too, so just let's have fun along the way. And I think we're going to carry forward that momentum into next year, and we're having a good time.
Hello again, Cecilia. My question is also for Pablo. We have limited regions in Runeterra, and there are a lot of stories in the lore that you can explore season after season. This year we had Noxus and then Ionia with double Spirit Blossom. Are you also thinking so far in the future that you're thinking of adding other regions to Runeterra, like Camro, for example, to explore for seasons in the futures?
Oh, are you asking if we're going to create new ones to debut in the future?
There are regions outside of
Yeah.
the normal ones in Runeterra,
Right.
so are you exploring those ones as well and maybe expanding more?
I think the answer to that is maybe. There's plenty of ones that we have out there that we haven't explored that much at all, and I think that's a ripe opportunity to have a lot of fun. In fact, like there's just a lot of places and champions that haven't had a lot of love. There's a chance to bring them out into the forefront and re-debut them in some ways. And then there's opportunities to create new stuff. And I think going into next year, we're gonna take our learnings. Like this was a big effort to have everything be as cohesive as it was. And I think we're gonna lean into where that was worked. And in some cases, create variety. I think some players have been really clear with us that some love this and some are like, would like a different vibe. Like that's a lot of Noxus, right? For the first part of the year. So, the short answer to that is we're always open to exploring where it makes sense. And as people give us more feedback on it, we're open to debuting new stuff.
As a short follow-up, in one word, how would you describe the next region we're going to? For, our lore followers in the audience to, conspiracy theory video stuff.
A classic region.
Hello， 大家好，这里是体育大正义 from Sports Money。这里有个问题想问一下 Chris， 就是其实成都在2020年的时候提出了打造电竞文化之都的这个目标，然后 今年总决赛来到了成都，就是这个目标的里程碑事件之一。现在其实中国社交媒体的话题都是成都变成了这个英雄联盟痛城，我们也看到了很多年轻人对于英雄联盟文化的热爱。所以想问一下 Chris， 对于 A15总决赛来到成都，助力成都电竞产业发展的一些看法跟感受，谢谢。
Yeah, I guess if the goal was to be an esports city, like accomplished, I think there's some great venues here, right? Both where we were for MSI, where we are for Worlds. I know there's another esport event going on in the city right now, not quite at this scope and scale, but still esports. Again, maybe I'm biased, maybe. I think that the city's been incredibly welcoming. I think the fans have been welcoming. I think the local government has been welcoming and have been great partners. I think the venue has made it incredibly easy for us to put on an ambitious show. I don't like overhyping things, but I think that the stage design and the OC are going to be pretty impressive when we get there on Sunday. And you can't take those kind of ambitious shots if you don't have good partners on the other side, both in terms of your sort of local sports commissions and governments, and then the venue at the same time. So I think the best feedback I can give is that when we finished MSI last year, we didn't have a final destination for World Finals, and we were so impressed with the experience that we had here that it shot to the top of our list. We're really excited to be back, and I think it'll continue to stay on the list. I don't want to speak for the LPL, but both for their events and for ours in the future. Phil, I just committed you to stuff, sorry.
Hello, I'm Bianda from Dunia Games. So my question is for Chris. We've seen major competition like MSI Worlds held in various locations. From Europe, China, Korea, and America, even Saudi Arabia as part of Esports World Cup. Is Riot Games interested in bringing major tournaments like MSI or Worlds to Southeast Asia in the future, considering that many fans from the region would love to attend this event?
Yeah, I mean, we brought in MSI previously to Vietnam. It was a great experience for us. We're continuing to talk with folks in our APAC team and government officials and tourism folks all over Southeast Asia to understand what our opportunities look like in the future. So, the best I can say is stay tuned. First stand is slated to be in Southeast Asia in 27, and we're going to continue to look for opportunities to bring great international events to the region.
All right, we have more planned for today's event, but this will be our final question for this section.
예, 안녕하세요. 저는 한국 매체 OSN의 고용준이라고 하는데요. 두 가지 질문이 있습니다. 첫 번째는 라이엇이 각 지역별 프랜차이즈 관련해서 굉장히 팀의 육성과 약간 따뜻한 온정주의 비슷하게 지원책을 많이 내놓으시는데 저는 당연히 그렇게 이제 팀들도 그렇게 이제 의무를 수행할 때 당연히 책임감 있게 해야 된다고 생각하는 사람이어서 예를 들어서 투자를 하면서 성적이 안 나는 팀은 어쩔 수 없지만 투자를 하지 않는 상태에서 성적이 안 나는 팀은 당연히 거기에 대한 대가를 치러야 된다고 생각하는 편이거든요. 그래서 각 리그별로 프랜차이즈를 조금 더 효율적으로 혹시 개편할 수 있는 방안이 있으신지 궁금하고요. 두 번째 질문은 워낙 각 리그에서 최고 레벨 팀들이 월지에 모여서 하게 되지만 각 월드 선발전에서 이제 지역별 선발전에서 떨어진 팀들 예를 들어서 뭐 LCK 같은 경우에는 5등부터 뭐 7등까지라든지 아니면 LPL도 마찬가지로 그 밑에 팀들이 모여서 그 유럽 챔피언 UEFA처럼 각 리그에서 모여서 붙은 경쟁 팀들 중에서 예를 들어 우승팀과 준우승팀은 월드에 참가할 수 있는 그런 방안 같은 거 좀 그 글로벌 대회에 더 다이나믹하고 재미있는 거에 대해서 좀 고민을 좀 해보신 적 있는지도 한번 여쭤보고 싶습니다. 질문은 이렇게 두 가지입니다.
You want to bring more Korean teams to Worlds? Oh my God. All right, so I'll start with the first question first. By the way, I thought we were supposed to end with like a puff question, like what are you most excited for? This is save the hard-hitting ones for the end. The franchise system's complicated. It always has been. We spend a lot of time iterating on it. I think we've changed the revenue model twice. First in the NA League, which had come along first, and then with the global revenue pool last year. I think every conventional sport on the face of the planet has dealt with teams who sort of take their revenue share and don't invest in a competitive lineup. We're no different. So it is definitely a challenge. We are working hand in hand with our leads in each of the regions because every region's different. Every team has sort of a different circumstance. But ultimately the goal is that we do want to create a extremely competitive ecosystem in each of the 6 regions around the world, whether they have permanent partnership or not. So I have no plans to share with you today, but it's not a problem that we're blind to. And we are continuing to look for ways that we can address it in the future. In terms of alternate competition, man, you set me up for the Asia Invitational. I don't know if you watched it. It was awesome. It was for those who don't know, it was the 5, 6, and 7 seeds from each of the LCK and the LPL, and then the 4 and 5 seeds from the LCP. It was super fun to watch. We talked a lot. The global team and all the regional teams, when we came together to plan our future, we talked a lot about sort of both problems that you just put your finger on, which was how do you take the teams that don't get to go to international events and maybe you've never been to an international event and give them more games to play and more exposure and more international competition while at the same time taking the players on those teams who fans may not know and who may have incredible stories that we all want to attach to. How do we put them in the spotlight? The Asia Invitational this year, which was run by 3 streaming platforms here in China, gave us a really good first look at that proof of concept. Like what would happen when you take those teams that don't make it to a major international event and let them go and play each other. We want to continue to iterate on that model, maybe or maybe not specifically with the Asia Invitational, where it's still pretty early for that, but we are looking to add more third-party competition that creates more international games through more teams who are otherwise not at our international events. Will it one day connect to our international events? Maybe. We like cool stuff. We know fans do too. We want to put the most entertaining product out humanly possible. I don't know that the most entertaining product is like 6 Korean teams at Worlds, but I guess it just, yeah, but we do want to create, like the more paths you can create into an international event, the more stakes that you can create for teams and for fans as they're following their favorite pros on their journey. So we are looking to create as much of that as we can. So I think we're aligned on where this should go for sure. Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough.
好的，让我们掌声。